Yesterday, they participated. For some of you, you may have seen this big event that we organized with the private sector. This is a very important approach that UNICEF is promoting as part of its Gen U proposal. And then finally, yesterday night, they've met with the Prime Minister, and a few hours ago with the Foreign Minister. So, without further delays, I would like to introduce you to Madame Fore once again, and she will make a few remarks, followed by Dr. Ahmed, and then we'll go for Q&A. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. It is a great pleasure for us to be back in Bangladesh. May we just begin with a thought about what we've seen in the last few days, because I think it is a great credit to your nation that there has been such a generous and benevolent outpouring of support for many of the Rohingya refugees. We have been down to Cox's Bazar and visited the camps, and there is a great need for the people to feel that they are out of the crisis, but there will be an ongoing need to have a sense of stability, of healthcare, of education, of water, sanitation, nutrition, all of the pieces that one would want in a normal life. We have also had a chance to visit with a host communities who are in the neighborhoods and who are also dealing with all of the qualities of life, and we see an ongoing need for both children and young people to have a chance to have education and the skills in education that they will need for a livelihood in the future. We also have had a chance to launch Generation Unlimited, as has just been mentioned, and that was here in Dhaka. It is an initiative that is a public-private platform. We are anticipating reaching all 1.8 billion young people in the world between the ages of 10 and 24. There are a great number that are here in Bangladesh, and we see a lot of opportunities that we would wish to open for them and with them. So any questions or thoughts you have on that, we are very much engaged in it as UNICEF. UNICEF, as you know, works in the sectors of nutrition, of health, of education, of water, sanitation, and protection. Above all, it is often a protection issue for those who are often a minority or left behind. And for our young people today, this is a chance for an opportunity. So with that, may I turn to my friend, Dr. Ahmed Al-Meraikhi.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And welcome. I'm delighted to be with UNICEF and a joint mission to see what's the situation here. And I'd like to thank government of Bangladesh for all the effort, and thanks also for the UN agencies that they are doing their job, and without this coordination, we cannot save life. I'm here actually to also see the effort that's being done from the donors, so I can go back to the donor and encourage them to give more. As a humanitarian envoy, I'm always try to advocate and to advocate for all the humanitarian crisis, and one of the main purpose to be here in Bangladesh, Cox's Bazar in particular, to highlight the humanitarian and how can we act upon what is in the ground. Thank you very much, and I'm welcoming any question.
Thank you very much to both of you. We would like to go for the Q&A session now. Please identify yourself and your organization and be brief in the questions. Thank you very much.
My name is Fadil Alam. I am working with I have one question. One director to UNICEF, another to the UN Humanitarian Envoy. First, UN Humanitarian Envoy. Despite the international community's commitment and pressure, Myanmar authorities still adamant not to take back their citizens from Bangladesh. in this situation, don't you think some harder action needed? What had taken place in Serbia in 1992 when the Serb authorities started ethnic cleansing there? Don't you think such action requires to force Myanmar authorities to take back their citizens? Second question to UNICEF, you have mentioned about the birth registration. Yes, Bangladesh government would not do it because Bangladesh government would register only their citizen. Rohingya is not Bangladesh citizen. So can UNICEF do this job from international community to register the newly born babies of Rohingyas?
Go ahead. The first question.
Okay. Well, it is very good question. I'm always say the humanitarian, it is not the only solution. And the humanitarian, aid and the humanitarian action is just to mitigate the suffering of the people and try to find the basic need for them. But I think it is, as you said, it is very important to have political solution. It is not in Serbia, in everywhere, like in Syria or Yemen. I think we will continue having this kind of humanitarian aid if we don't have the political solution. So the political solution, it is very important, and we have to work, together to get this kind of the political solution. Thank you.
And so for your question on can UNICEF help, the answer is yes. The Rohingya babies, as well as Bangladeshi babies that are born, we feel very strongly about all. We are a humanitarian agency, and so surviving the idea of being born, child survival is very important to us. Healthcare is important, the nutrition, how we educate mothers and parents to be parents so that children can flourish and survive. So the answer is yes.
Yes, this is Kamruzzaman. I'm working at Anadolu Agency, a Turkish-based international news agency. My question is that since the very beginning of the latest crackdown on Rohingya community on August 2017, we are observing that all international agencies, including UNICEF, UN, all are expressing concerns, and they all are almost agree that the crackdown was very inhuman, and the Rohingya communities or the Rohingya refugees need safe return to their origin birthplace, Rakhine State. But you are speaking a lot, but action is very less. This is the observation throughout the whole world. My question is that why don't these organizations is failing to create an environment so that Myanmar authorities is compelled to take back their citizens and in a safely environment and to return back their citizenship right? Thank you very much.
Did you want to answer first? So it's very important for the United Nations to have a stance that there is a safe and dignified return. And there has to be the ability to be voluntary so that it is the ability of an individual here who is a Rohingya to be able to return safely. We have not created that situation as an international community. You are correct. But we are working privately and publicly in all of the agencies in the United Nations to try to make this happen.
Yeah, and I think most of our visit the refugees, they are keen and they want to go back to their homes. But they concern about the security, and they said, okay, we want to go back home, but we need to feel that we are secure in our home. So, and this is what actually the international community trying to do. How can we bring the safe place so they can go back safely?
Another question.
It is Shahidul Islam Chaudhry from New Age. On the need of education and skilling of the younger people. So far, I know there is no difference between the position of the UNICEF and the government of Bangladesh. Both agreed that there is a need. Bangladesh government position is that education, the mode of language of education should be the language of Rohingyas themselves and English, not in Bangla. So, do you find any problem in it, especially in relation to the providing textbooks, skill teachers, and education materials? How do you address these things?
Well, you are right that there is a need for skilled teachers. It is a constant need, and it's not just in the camps for the Rohingya. It is throughout the country, and it's in a lot of countries around the world. So training of those teachers is extremely important, and teachers with language skills. It's also important that we have curricula that match this. So just recently, we have a new set of curricula programs. So math, science, language. And these days, one of the most sought after skills is digital skills, and for that, English is very helpful. So the learning of languages is important, and the ability for teachers to speak the languages and to know their subjects is extremely important. And we need more teachers. This is back to the idea of education and skilling, and if we can begin preparing young people in their secondary school years to become teachers, it will be a great benefit.
A question in the back, please.
Yeah, my name is Rahid Izas. I represent Bangla Daily Prothom Alo. In your press release and in the opening statement, both of you stress on the need of education, vocational training, skills, and other things. So from my point of view, surprisingly, one point is missing. That is, we know since the episode of August 2017, there is issues of rape and child that was born out of victim. So can you shed some light on what are the issues and that's UNICEF are dealing with? What sort of identity this child should be given, and whether the single mother or the widowed and other one should be appeal to the international code or any international mechanism for being trapped into the situation. Thank you.
We have been working very hard all around the world on the notion of birth identity. And birth identity allows a baby to have a name and to have a birth date. It's very important to be able to then go to school and to live a life. It is also important to get a nationality, but at least the birth identity is a right that every child should have. The whole option of what then happens with a family is a very complex issue because it is different under the laws of many countries. And UNICEF tries to work with every country on every issue. And I can tell you that for everyone, it is a unique solution.
Yeah, regarding the justice, do you see that?
Well, justice is extremely important, but at least in this particular case, I don't know enough about it to be able to come down clearly on what it is that would be the solution for it.
Can we please move on to another question here in the front?
Yes. Good afternoon. This is Mainul Alam. I represent Daily Ittifaq. It's National Bengali Daily. You mentioned, and we know that only 29% of our required funds you could manage. UNICEF Bangladesh could manage. So what's your plan to fill up the shortage, or are you working with other agencies like Save the Children and other agencies and governments who can work in the field of children and women? So how you manage that? And because it's a shortage of huge short, 29% you could manage so far. Thank you.
Yes, the shortage of funds is always a struggle. And as you know, our world it's difficult to find enough humanitarian funding for crises. We tend to be somewhere between 50% to 70% funded for any appeal for an emergency or humanitarian situation. And there are about 300 emergencies a year. As emergencies grow longer and more severe, the funding needs sustain, and the people need it. So we look to public and private donors. We think that there is an enormous amount of outpouring of interest and sympathy for the humanity, and therefore it would be good, the more foundations that know about this work. It helps everyone. We work as a team. Save the Children, many of the nonprofit organizations. We were with BRAC yesterday. There are so many good international and national organizations and local organizations that are helping in the humanitarian space, but we all could use funding. So the generosity of the public, the generosity of the business sector, the generosity of foundations is really welcome. We need it.
Yeah, if I may add for that, I think it is very important, the public-private and the private partnership, but also we have to think how can we act innovatively and how can we find an innovative solution to act, because we almost get to the donor fatigue. Most of the member state and the donor countries, when we visit them to just give them what the appeal that we have, they said, until when we can pay, you know. So I think it is very important to get diversity of the donor, private sector. I think they play very crucial role in that case. Yeah, thank you.
Question in the middle.
Madam, my name is Mizanur Rahman. I am representing Daily Manav Jamin. It's a Bengali tabloid newspaper. I just want to know, you visited Myanmar last January, maybe. So what your observation about the Rakhine situation? What's your finding? My second part of my question, UNICEF is always focusing Bangladesh, Cox's Bazar-based Rohingya people. Why you did not focusing in Myanmar? So, thank you.
So UNICEF focuses on everyone. So we focus on the Rohingya in Cox's Bazar, and we focus on the Bangladeshi people who are throughout the country. In Myanmar, we do the same. So we focus on the Rohingya that are in the Rakhine. We also focus on other minorities and other majorities that are within Myanmar. And the Rakhine is, as you know, a rural setting. There are many of the families that are poor. The Rakhine Rohingya have a lack of mobility, of access, so there are often camps. Sometimes they are around villages, but there is no ability to leave the camp. There are some schools that we are helping with to bring education so that young people don't miss out on any of them, but there is a fear for personal security and safety. One of the many gifts that you have given the Rohingya refugees here is that there is not the fear for personal safety. And that is, as you know, in your own life, in your own family, it is a deep-seated fear, and it will make almost any parent run away to try to keep their children safe.
Yes, Madam, here.
Okay, my name is Parveen. I work for NHK Television, and also I work for the Middle Eastern broadcaster like State TV Kuwait and Al Arabiya of Saudi Arabia. Recently, I did a story for State TV Kuwait, few stories. So I found that Camp Fore, there are lots of children are left out without school. And also I found the Kutu Palong new camp, new extended camp. there were lots of children left out of school. So what is the figure of the exact children of Rohingyas in Bangladesh? This is my question. And how many children are left out of school, and how many children are in school of UNICEF? And my second question is, there are lots of children who lost their parents, I mean both the parents, who were killed by the Myanmar military. What is your program for those children, those infants?
So thank you. I'm going to get help here on the exact numbers.
Yeah. So for the, as you know, I mean, this has been an ongoing crisis, and we're 18 months into it. There are 500,000 children in the camps. So far, we have built 1,800 learning centers, reaching out to 155,000 children, 4 to 14, which is a lot of people. As you know, it's extremely difficult to build and find locations and spaces in the camp, so it's a work in process. By the end of this year, we think we will reach 2,000 learning centers, so therefore building a lot more and reaching up to 200,000 children. This is the UNICEF part. There's also the sectors part of the equation, which is coming to more than 300,000 children. So we're not the only ones working in this domain. I can give you the exact figures of exactly how many children we expect to reach by the end of this year with the rest of the sector, education sector. We have prepared a brochure on that, so I'll share it with you at the end of this meeting. But this is just to tell you in a nutshell.
By June 2015.
Yeah, just to make sure that you understand that there are many issues to build and many issues to find the teachers, to train the teachers, and to make sure that we know also the different levels of the children and where to place them. Madame Fore has mentioned the different levels of a curriculum. This is also something you have to consider. When you have a child in front of you, you have to, first of all, assess him. Where does he fit in the learning system, you know? Because they have different backgrounds. A lot of them came without too much education. So this is why it's important to make that initial assessment. Thank you. You talk about education and orphans? We have specific programs for orphans. As you know, an orphan for UNICEF is when both parents are missing, not just one, as sometimes it is calculated in the context of Bangladesh. So yes, we have specific programs. We have programs to make sure that they have community help, that they can be reintegrated into families which are accepting them, mostly in the community. So these programs are ongoing. They have access to education. They also have access to learning, to child-friendly spaces and other programs that UNICEF is putting together.
Let me just add that it is our intention that the learning centers are able to expand in both the type of classes, the skills that you can learn, the age groups that can be there, and the involvement of girls. Often we have many of the girls who drop out, especially as they get older. So it is important that we try to reach all of them. Thank you.
My name is Isha Jahanurmi, work for DBC News. My question is, do you have any data about unwanted child who birthed by rape violation?
Sorry, can you please?
She is asking, whether do we have any data about the children who were born without any father, maybe the rape victim or the women who faced violence?
We can certainly find that number with our partners. It's not an easy number to find, but we'll find it. I mean, as you know, in terms of protection, UNICEF is one of the players. We're doing our role with different organizations and with the different ministries of Bangladesh.
Next question.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Rashid Mojumdar from hello.bnews24.com, associate with UNICEF. So my question is to UNICEF that, do UNICEF have any plan for Rohingya child about their skill development program? Like recently, UNICEF did a program adolescence photography workshop. So like this, do they have any plan for Rohingya children, Rohingya students, about their skill development program? Like a Rohingya child can be a skilled people in future.
That's our intention, and so the programs are just starting now. It is also our intention that there be a wide variety of choices so that you'll be able to be a tailor, or that you could learn how to repair a motor scooter, or that you can have other skills. And then there are some interpersonal skills that are needed, communication and creativity, because a lot of the Rohingya as well as Bangladeshi youth are going to be entrepreneurs, and that's going to be a very important part of their life. So knowing how to start a business, where the possibilities are, and how to bring solutions to your own community, that's going to be very important for everyone.
We have the time for one more question, please. One more, or we're going to close. Thank you very much, Madame Fore, Dr. Ahmed. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you to all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Us the two.
Thank you very much.